Hey guys, so let's create another JavaScript project. So in today's video, we are creating an age calculator in JavaScript. So as you can see, the user is required to enter their birth date, and then it will calculate the age. So let's try with someone who was born on 2000 on September. So this is the current month we are at, and then they were born today. Let's see a person who was born today. Then you can see if you are born today, that means now you reached your birthday and you're 25 years old. So let's see of a person who was born a day like tomorrow in 2000. So that's tomorrow is 22nd, and then you can see this person is 24 years old awaiting their birthday. Right, so let's do the same for the person who were born in today's day, and then they were born on not September but October. So we are still seeing this person is 24 years old. So how can we create this? So this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to use HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So let's get started. So in my in the bottom, you can see I have a blank HTML document. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create a CSS file. So we'll just call it style.css. And then finally, let's create a JavaScript file, script.js. All right, the next thing is to link up all these with HTML. So we're just going to do link CSS. And then it already filled the style that we have, which is style.css, which matches up the style.css on the top. Let's link the script tag, src, then it is script.js. So that's what we are going to do. Then everything is hooked up. Then the next thing is to go live. So in my previous videos, I showed you how to go live using the live server extension. So if you don't have that extension, what you need to do is to install that extension. It's called live server. The extension is called live server. And then this live server, when you install that live server, open the file you want, and then on the bottom, you'll see go live, which is what you're going to click. So let's continue. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a form, because this one will have a form field and it will not have an action, because we are going to use JavaScript to submit the form. I'm going to give it a class of card because I want to style it. We don't necessarily need, but we can do it. So I'm just using a H2 and then calculator. And then you can see it here. Something I almost forgot is that we need to add some predefined CSS styles. So the first one is to select every element and give a margin of 0 and a padding of 0 and a box sizing of border box. All right. You can see now everything looks nice. The next thing is to grab the body. And then grabbing the body, the only thing I need to do here is to display it flex. And then justify content center. So this is what I want. I want the content to be in the middle as shown. And then I want to add some padding, something like 2 rem on the padding on that. You can see now the title, and then I'm going to give it a background color. And then let's try something like ice blue. I think that looks nice. So let's go back. So we do have our card. Inside our card, let's create a field. So div.field. Inside the field, let's create a label. This label will go to a 4 of birth date. We said this 4 helps in whenever you click the label will highlight or focus the input. And then this one will say enter your date of birth. All right. And then you can see it there. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add the input, and the type of the input is date. And then it is required. We're going to add this attribute which says the date is required. The name, we can give it the name of birth date. This name will be useful whenever we are submitting the form. This will be the key, and the value will be the data inside the form. The ID has to match the labels for, because that is what the label requires. So you can grab this and then add this ID. So that's it. And then finally, let's add a submit button. So button, and then you can say calculate age. And then this one will have a type of submit. And then finally, let's add a paragraph tag and call it P of result, which now will show us the result like you are 21 years old. I'm going to remove this dummy data. And then that's our card. So let's start styling the card. We are going to style the card. We grab the card with the class it is assigned, so which is assigned the class of card. The first thing is to give it a background color of white. You can see the background color has picked, and then let's give it a padding. You can see everything is too close to the edges. So you can give it a padding of something like 1 rem. So 1 rem. So it shows, let's change the background color of the body to something like hash D3 D1 D1. Alright, so that it can be seen. And then you can see now the edges are too sharp. Then we can add a border radius. A radius of 5 pixels. Something else you might notice is that we need a width. So let's add a width of 300 pixels. You can see it. And then to make sure that we can get space between each element in the card, we are going to use flex. So you can say display flex direction, column, then a gap of maybe 10 pixels. So then you can see now it is starting to look a bit nice. So the next thing we need to highlight is the field. This field here. So this field has the label and the input. So what I'm going to do with the field is that I'm going to do the same thing I did on the card, whereby I grab the field, then display this as flex direction of column, and then we can do a gap of 10 pixels as well. So they're going to lay on top of each other, and you can see now this one looks a bit nice. And finally, let's style the button. So to style the button, I'm going to start with the padding. So padding top, I can do something like 6 pixels, and left, right can do 8 pixels. So if you save this, you can see the button now is a bit bigger. And then next is that we can add a background color of maybe blue on that. And then let me reduce the blueness. And then we can see that the color of the button is not visible. So we can do a color of white. And then you can see there are some ugly outlines around the button. So these ugly borders. So we can remove the border with border none. And then now everything looks nice. So now let's go to the JavaScript file. The first thing we always do in the JavaScript file is to test whether the JavaScript is working by simply alerting. So it's working. And the first thing I'm going to do is to grab the form. So I can do that by creating a variable called form is equals to document dot query selector and then form. That will give me access to the form. And then the next thing I need is the result p tag, which will be document dot query selector then dot result, because this is where we are going to show the results. So if you look at here, this is the result I'm talking about. So we are done with the CSS. The next thing is to add an event listener on the form. So we can add an event listener of submit, because this button we added a type of submit and we are inside a form, so we can capture form submissions. So below here, let's create a function and call it function handle submit. It receives an event, and the first thing we always do to this event is to prevent the default behavior. So the second argument to the add event listener is who handles this event, because this is an event we are capturing. Whenever someone submits this form, we are capturing a specific event called, this event is called submit, right? So if this event is called submit is captured, then there's something that handles that event, which is the handle submit function. And then this is the function that will be called. And note, we are not calling this handle submit here. JavaScript is the one that will call it whenever that event is captured. So whenever working with form submission in JavaScript, the first thing is to prevent default behavior. So use event.prevent default, which will prevent the form from trying to submit to an external route. And then something we can do here is console.log the event. So we can click here, can inspect, and then go to the console. And then you can grab any date and submit. So you can see the event. The event has so many properties. So I'm just console logging the event. You can see it has too many. It's trusted, it's bubble, const bubble, all these current target, these source element. So what we are interested in is this target attribute. So this target attribute carries the form. And remember, this form has the data. So what we are going to do is that since this is the event, we are going to capture the dot target and pass it to something called an interface called the form data. So let me show you. All right, so you already captured that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data variable, which will be an instance of the new form data. So this new form data is, you can see form data interface provides a way to construct a set of key value pairs representing form fields and their values. So like for instance, in our form, in the input, we added a name, birth date. So this is the key that will be carried from that input. So let's do it. So what you're going to do here is to give it the event.target. I showed you in the console that the event.target carries the current form. So what I need here is the const. I'll create a constant called birth date string, which will be equals to data.get the birth date. You saw this one should correspond to the name of the form field you want to capture, this name. That's why we need the name. This is why we need the name. So as soon as we get that, the next thing we need is to create a birth date. So this one is a birth string, the one on top. We need to create a date instance using that birth date string. This one will give us a date that we can work with. So next thing is to create another variable called today. So this one will give us the today's date, so which is just do new date without an argument passed. So the first thing I'm going to do is to check whether birth date is greater than today. So if the birth date is greater than today, this person is trying to look for the birthday of a person who has not yet been born. So we can give an alert that says birth date can't be in future. And then we return immediately. If you don't return here, it will continue passing the next lines. So that's it. So the first thing we need now is to get the years difference. So let's create a variable called age is equals to today dot get full year. So this one will give us the full year like we tried. So like today's full year is 2025. And then birth date dot get full year. So assuming we are using the 2000 version, so this one will be 2025 minus 2000. That would be the age. But now we cannot rely on this because if I was born in 2000 on September or in 2000 December and we are in September, this person is not yet 25 years. So this one will be wrong. So even if we still get this data, we need to do some more. We need to do some more work to make sure we get the correct data. So the first thing I'm going to do is to check whether the current month of this year is greater than the year you were born. So we are going to assume the reference we are looking at is a person born on maybe October, date 10 of October 2000. And today is 21 of 09 of 2025. So this person is 24 years old. But if you use this method will take, this person is not, let's use someone who is lesser aged. So let's do date 10 of No, so let's see. So this one will give us a wrong date because this person is not yet 25 years. But when you're doing the get full year and the difference, you're getting the difference between 2025 and 2000. We cannot say that is the age because this person is not yet 25 years. So we are going to check to create another variable using the const, and then we are going to say is month ahead. We want to see whether the current month is ahead of your birthday's month. So we are going to say today.get month is greater than birthday.get month. So what is this doing? So we are getting is current. So today's.get month is 9. Is it greater than the birthdate.get month? All right. So what is happening here? So today's.get month, what is this month? So let's assume even if the months start at 0, we can assume there's still the same concept because we are dealing with the same data type. So today.get month. So today's month, let's assume it will give us 9. But in real sense, it will give us 8 because it starts at 0. But let's use 9. And then is 9 greater than the birthday's month? The birthday's month here is 10. In real sense, it will be 9 because the months start at 0. But let's use this. So is 9 greater than 10? That's false. But still, we don't get the real data. So yes, we get the month. We see that the month is not ahead. So this one is good indication. But what if this person was born on September? This person was born on September, but now it's on 28th. This person is still not 25 years old. This person is still 24 years old, awaiting like the next 5 days or 4 days or the next 7 days for them to be 25 years old. So that means the month will not give us the actual data. So we still need to check something else. We are going to check const is current month. So we want to see whether this is the current month. So we can say today dot get month, is this equals to the birthday dot get month. So I hope you can understand what is happening. We are now trying to see, are we in the current month that this person was born? In this scenario, this is true because we are currently in the current month, but now still we don't get the actual data until we go bottom down to the day. So finally, let's do the day. So we can say is today ahead or equal. So what this means is that is it today's date, is it greater or equals to this person's birth date? So how can we do this? We can do this by today.getDate. Is it greater? So this is of a person who got to this age today, or a person who got to this day ahead. So that means we are going to check whether it's greater or equals to the birthday dot get day. So now this one, if a person was born on, let's try these 3 conditions. So let's see how they fare. So if a person was born on, today is 21st of September 2025. This person was born on 21st of September 2000. So the first thing we see is the month ahead. Is today greater than that person's birthday's month? That's false. So the first condition is false. The next condition, is it the current month? That's true. And then finally, is today ahead or equals to? So is today greater than or equals to this person's birthday? So is 21 greater or equals to 21? That's true. You can see. And then finally, let's try the second scenario. So the second scenario will be, let's do someone who will be 22. Today is 21. Let's try for 22. So is the current month greater than this person's birth month? False. And then let's check if this person's, is it the current month? That's true. Then let's check if it's today. So today.getDate, today is 21. Is 21 greater or equals to 22? False. So what should happen in these three scenarios? Just note that when we were starting, we got the difference between the years. So we currently got 25. So how can we make sure that this person's initial age was 25, but now it is 25 still? And then this person is 25, but won't be 25. You need to subtract 1. How is this happening? Because what we can do, we can combine these two with an OR, because now there's false or true. That's true. And then this one can be combined with an AND. Let me show you. Then we can see it in English format. So const has birthday occurred. How can we get if the birthday has occurred? We can get this by, let me write an equals, and then we can say is month ahead. So if the month is ahead, so let's assume that this person was born on 21st of August, that last month. This person is already 25 years old. So we are checking, is month ahead? So we are ahead. This is true. So if this is true, that means this person is 25 years old and we don't need to do anything else. So we are going to combine this with an OR. And then we need to combine these two, the next two. So we need to check, is this the current month? And so is this the current month and is today ahead? So we want to check whether, are we in the current month? But we need to, but I think this one will always be true. I don't think we need this because this one will always be true. If it's not month ahead, then this one will always be true. So I think we can get rid of that. So we can see this one, or is today ahead or equal. So if the month is ahead, this is true, and then we don't do anything. But if the month is not ahead, that means this person is, now we need it because we need to combine. It has to be the current month. So I don't think we need to get the current month. I think it has to be the current, but we will test that. So what we can do now is, or is today ahead or equal. So let's see how this one in action. So this person, let's try the person who was born today. So is it month ahead? False. And then or is today ahead or equals to? That is true. Okay. Let's try someone who was born tomorrow. Is month ahead? False. Or is today ahead or equals to? So this person will be 25 tomorrow. So is today ahead or equals to? So today.getDate is greater. That's false. So we need to subtract 1. Yeah, so finally let's check someone who is already 25. So the month is not ahead, so we can see that one is true. So what we need to check now is if not has birthday occurred. So if the birthday has not occurred, then we can subtract 1 from the age. And then finally, we have access to the result paragraph. So this is the result paragraph. We need to insert something new inside. So I'm just going to cut this. And then we can now say, we have the age now at this point. So we can say result.text content is equals to UR. And then instead of 21 UR, then we use the age. And then we can do this one. UR dash years old, and then you can add an exclamation mark. So let's test this out. I think time is gone. So let's try on someone born in 2000. Let's just write it 2000. And then they were born on 21st of September. So they were born today. So let's see. So this person is 25 years old. And then let's try someone who will be 25 years old tomorrow. This person is now 24. And then, yeah, I think that covers most of the issues. So let's see person born on 20th. Yeah, so this one works. So guys, that's how you deal with this. So we check whether the month is ahead. If the month is ahead, this person is already of that age we subtracted from the years. If not, we check whether the days, we check whether it's today or there will be that age in the future. So this is what we are doing. Is today's date. So for instance, is 21 greater than, a person will be born tomorrow will be 20, is 21 greater than 22? That's false. This person is not yet of that age. And this one will translate to false. And then if not false, true, which now we decrement the age. So that's it, guys. That's how you create an age calculator in JavaScript. So like, follow, and share with your friends. Thank you.